Nobody's here, Mary's there.
Hey Jeremy, how are you? Hey Lou. I said, hey Lou. Good. Again. I know, hello again.
Yeah. Oh no, Caitlin's grabbing it.
We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of us, we're good. Are we good to start?
We, not yet, we need
Okay.
a little.
She's gonna
The recording, the chip.
recorder, yeah.
That's what I call those.
Good evening, everyone. With the posted time having arrived and a quorum of members present, I will call the Public Health and Safety Committee for Monday, July 17th, 2023 to order. Quorum of members is present, and we'll note that Alder McElhaney is excused for this evening's meeting. The first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of our previous meeting from June 19th of 2023, copies of which are in the packets. Any revisions or corrections needed for those minutes that anybody noticed? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes. Motion from Hanky, is there a second? Second by Denny. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None are opposed. That motion carries. Item 2 is to consider approval or denial of various license applications. We do have a denial recommendation for this evening. I have to switch back to my city calendar here. So we have a couple of denial recommendations. Under our ordinance, those applications or applicants are allowed to address the committee if they choose. Donna Brown, is Donna Brown with us this evening? Donna Brown? Let the record show Donna has not appeared. Also Morgan Sykes. Morgan Sykes also is not present. Public transport driver recommended for denial, Damian Martinez. Is Damian Martinez with us? He is not, so let the record show all 3 recommended denial applicants have not appeared before the committee. With that, we have a couple other things in with the batch tonight. We have a Class A liquor application for, the applicant is for Frenchie's Sake LLC, Jennifer Phillipson, doing business as the Grand Ave Artifactory at 2312 Grand Avenue, doing wine baskets. We also had an application for the one standard available Class B beer and liquor license. We had 2 applicants for that tonight. Immediately before this meeting, the subcommittee met with both applicants and reviewed their applications. While both were qualified, one of the applicants, 100 Proof Management LLC, has some work to do yet in the planning and the fine details of the operation. Honora Hotels is actually open and ready to use the license and function with it. So with that, the Liquor License Review Subcommittee voted unanimously to move forward for that application, Honora Hotels LLC. The owners of that establishment are with us if you have questions for them. And then also the standard renewals and special events. Does anyone have questions on any of those items? If not, is there a motion to accept or deny licenses as recommended by staff?
I also make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion from Larson.
Second that motion.
Second by Denny. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? None are opposed, so that, those licenses are either approved or denied per the recommendations. And so we will then shift gears over to our item number 3. Item number 3, well, we had item number 3 with item number 2, which is consider recommendation from subcommittee for applications for the license. So we actually took care of item 3 with our last vote. Honora Hotels went through with the batch, so we're publicly acknowledging that they are the recipient of that Class B. Item number 4 is the operational report from the fire department for the month of June. Anything notable on the report that you wanted to discuss with us, Deputy Chief Cobb?
Really busy month. There's a lot going on. I do think that it's worth mentioning, we did close in June another employment opportunity, and that was unsuccessful. We did not choose any of the applicants for position of firefighter paramedic. You know, we still want to make sure that we hire the right people and the right fit for the city as well as the fire department. And unfortunately, we're unable to do that, so we'll be moving forward with another process here pretty shortly, working really closely with HR to get that moving, as well as the past few months working hard with CAS accreditation, which is an accreditation process that we chose to apply for on our own. It's not a requirement, and it's something we wanted to challenge ourselves for that would also help us in different realms of grant writing and stuff like that also. They were here for 2 days last week, and there's a couple small things that we have to take care of, some thermostat issues with some of our drugs that are on the ambulance as well as in the stations to make sure they stay in viable temperatures, as well as some signage in our stations. Since then, we've corrected all those things, and we're waiting for documentation back, and hopefully we'll be on their agenda for accreditation in August.
Excellent. That's a long and arduous process, so definitely something for the department to be proud of when that comes through. Anyone have questions on the fire department report at all? If not, we'll place their report on file. Item 5 is the tavern activities report for the month of June. Anything notable on the report that you want to discuss with us, Chief?
I would just identify a couple of things. First is we did alcohol compliance checks where we have an underage person attempt to purchase alcohol from establishments. We had 7 establishments that we entered and attempted to purchase alcohol from. 5 of the 7 actually sold alcohol and were issued citations. So we issued demerit points appropriate with those sales. Just acknowledge Troy's Tic Tac and our store number 34, that's the our store on 20th Avenue that passed the compliance check, so congratulations to them. And then Lieutenant Felder has in his report that Whiskey River was open after hours, and he's recommending 25 demerit points for Whiskey River Bar and Grill. So
Okay.
that's the items I would identify.
Yep, and they've been around long enough that they certainly should know that. So anybody have questions on, it is a busy month, but of course it's summer, and that's when everything's happening at these places. Anybody have questions on the report at all for the chief? I guess we'll keep an eye on the compliance check situation, because if we find that many of our applicants or that many of our checks with that high of a ratio are failing, in the past, I think we've sent, if it gets bad enough, we send a letter out to all of them, like a reminder, right? To say, you know, hey, wake up and check
Yeah.
people.
We do, and I would say it has been quite some time, probably since COVID, that we have done alcohol compliance checks on a regular basis. And so, you know, I think this is indicative of, you know, our lack of enforcement, and, you know, so people need to, establishments are probably getting used to the fact that we're doing that again, and it also identifies that it's a good thing that we do those alcohol compliance checks, because otherwise places tend to get, you know, maybe, you know, a little less firm than they should be in their
Right.
carding of potential underage drinkers.
Right, well, and I think sometimes you make assumptions about the appearance of people that you shouldn't make, so important that they are compliant with that, though. Go
I
ahead,
just
Lou.
want to add one thing with the report here too, that is my hat's off to Jalapenos for getting 100 demerit points taken off their their record because, you know, it was looking pretty bleak for them for a while there, and I'm glad that they could get back on the right track.
Yeah, it was. And the only thing that cleans that up is time, because we run on a 12-month rolling calendar. So, it's been a while since that happened, but what they had there was a really bad run in a short period of time. So I was happy to see that coming off as well. So hopefully we continue to see improvement from them. Anyone else have comments on the report at all? If not, we'll place that report on file as well. And then the last item on our agenda is the community outreach update. So we'll bring up Tracy Rieger to talk about her work. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
So this month's report is a little bit different than what we've seen in the past. Unfortunately, the Salvation Army had a turnover in staff. So that staff person that used to get me all of the data was the person that left. So this report tonight does not include Salvation Army's data. So based on the information that I've received from all of the other agencies that I requested from, we show that approximately 209 people are unhoused in our community. Again, that's light because we don't have 100% of people reporting. Catholic Charities showed that they were only full 6 nights out of the month. So what that tells me is that either people are staying at the Salvation Army or they're finding other places to stay. It looks like in terms of turnaways for Catholic Charities, I was able to get that number as 23. In the last meeting that we had, I did indicate that I would try to break down for you guys what that percentage looks like as far as why they're being turned away. So in relation to Catholic Charities number, about 13% were turned away due to late arrival, and the remaining 87% were turned away due to capacity.
Okay.
So just to kind of give you an idea. I do think the Salvation Army has a fair amount more turnaways, but they're also looking at 2 more data points than Catholic Charities does when they are turning people away. They're looking at criminal records and level of intoxication as well. So as far as my outreach update, as far as my activity, I did house 2 additional individuals last month. So for a total of about 31 people that I've helped get into housing. Unfortunately, last month was the first month that was unsuccessful with 3 people that I had housed previous. And, for a variety of reasons, right? I mean, we've talked about before, like maybe there's not enough manpower to do all the work, right? Maybe there's not enough resources available. Maybe they just weren't ready to be housed. And so for a variety of reasons, the solution that we chose to work out together didn't work for 3. So I continue to work with those 3 to try to find a different solution. But at the end of the day, I still think that the work that is happening is really positive. And the success story that I want to just touch on tonight briefly is my advocacy doesn't really start and stop at getting somebody housed. It's continued advocacy, so looking at what financially makes sense for individuals too. So when I get them into an apartment, sometimes that's not the most cost-effective way for them to live. And so we get them put on waiting lists for other housing opportunities that fall into the subsidized category. And so this last month, I was able to take a gentleman who was in regular housing and get him placed in subsidized. So that saved him approximately $400 a month on rent. So
That's a success story.
Right.
It absolutely is a success story.
just another brief update. I'm part of the Housing Task Force, and myself, Jeff Hancock, Craig Vincent, and Donna Ambrose are working on a severe weather plan for the upcoming winter months, but we are also obviously looking at summer as well. That is a work in progress, and we hope to have a plan drafted and brought to the task force in August. So.
Okay.
I have a question
Go ahead.
for Tracy.
Sure.
I read through the newspaper that the open door is closed. It's not so open anymore. And I know you worked with the people very, very closely. Can you give this committee an insight of what happened there, or is it?
I'll defer that to Chief.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good question, Lou. And Open Door has closed their doors as of Friday. And their board is working to replace their executive director. Their executive director resigned, and so they don't have somebody in that position right now. And they have a couple of people that they think hopefully can step in quickly to get their doors back open again. But they have to do the work of vetting those individuals and doing some interviews and identifying the people that are able to step into that role. I know there are other organizations in our community that are looking at opening soon, at least on a temporary basis to fill some of that need for unhoused people during the day. But I would say in this setting, it's probably inappropriate to talk about some of the specifics of a board decision by a 501c3. So that's the update that I can give you in regards to Open Door.
Do you, in your humble opinion, do you think that they will be open before the cold weather hits?
I surely hope they'll be open before the cold weather hits. Can I guarantee that? No. My hope is that they're open well before the cold weather hits. But,
All right, thank
yeah.
you, Chief.
We'll keep
That was-
on top of it, though.
That was
For
the
sure.
discussion we had at the task force as well. We got a quick update about that. And, obviously, we, recognizing the contribution from the day center that was operating at Open Door, obviously, that was impactful. And you don't realize how impactful until you don't have it anymore. We went from something we didn't have at all that we knew we desperately needed to having one, and now we're back temporarily to not having one. And so, some of those same pressures, I think, that we felt with, infrastructure in the library and things, that's going to probably ramp up for a little bit until things level out and they maybe get new leadership at Open Door. So we just have to hope for a, speedy reopen and that they get the right person there. But I think it's fair for us to at least communicate to the public that it's absolutely our goal to continue as a city to partner on a day center to get services to people who need them. So, so we have to just keep one eye and 1 ear open for that, see what happens with that. But, it was a surprise. It wasn't anything that we or the director had planned, but things happen, and so we'll hope they get the right person quickly. So, any other questions for Tracy on her report at all? Go ahead, Chief.
I'd just like to make a comment, in Tracy's report, and she talked about the, 3 individuals who she had previously housed who are not housed currently, then she continues to work with them. I just want to make sure that anybody watching the video of this meeting and the members of the committee recognizes that's not a failure on Tracy's part by any stretch of the imagination. This is tough work that Tracy is doing, and there are going to be individuals who succeed one day and the next day are less successful, and it's they're continuing to work on issues that keep them from being housed, whether that is a resource issue that we can provide or mental health or addiction issues that they have to work on themselves. And I think we can sum up what's happened and occurred in some of these situations as a gap.
Yeah.
We talked about this at the task force meeting at the United Way last week or the week before, whatever day that was. And this gap exists. It is one that we continue to struggle to meet, and that is, where can we get the assistance, whether you call it case management or somebody that is checking in on individuals and helping meet their daily needs and helping them understand how to live in an apartment and not become evicted, and those kinds of very basic things that they need assistance learning, and really just holding their feet to the fire a little bit too. And we're struggling to meet that need, and it's a gap. And so we continue to try to figure out what organization in our community can help us fill that gap and fill that need. And in the interim, Tracy's doing her best to manage all 30 people that she's got housed, plus everybody else that's unhoused, and it's a large burden on
It is.
Tracy. So, and it isn't her burden alone, but I'm sure someday she feels like it is.
Well, I think it's important to recognize, too, that the population that she works with has a struggle and a tough path to walk every single day. And I think there's times that you slide backwards from the progress you've made, and you have to pick yourself up and continue on that path. I also was at the same task force meeting. We all sit on that task force. And the gap that you were talking about, I specifically asked how things were going with rekindling some type of relationship for case management with North Central Healthcare. And the director at North Central Healthcare that manages that treatment program indicated to us, and we were talking about the success that we had, for whatever view people had of the McClellan House. The McClellan House was a interim stop between a longer-term treatment program and the street, like, so people could get their feet up underneath them and then figure out what those next steps were. We lost that McClellan House, we lost funding for it and case management support for it, so that program went away. This partnership that we had with NCHC and the county on that didn't last. But we still believe that even with some altered terms, is one of the pieces to this puzzle that the task force wants to figure out, like, how to get back. We're just not to that point yet. But the gap really is, there is some treatment programs available with NCHC, but one of the barriers is that they require a doctor referral, which not everyone has quality medical care, or any medical care for that matter. But the other part of that is there's about a 30-day window before that can take place. So from the time Tracy makes contact with someone who wants that help to the time they can get into such a program and get that referral, where does that person go for that month? And there is no, like, interim stop house now. There's that piece is gone for us. So figuring out what that piece looks like, because I think when a person is in continuous survival mode, it's hard to think about anything else, let alone recovery. So that's the gap that the task force is grappling with now, trying to figure out, like, what partners do we need in play to figure that one out, because it's a big one. As far as case management, though, and checking in on people, if their needs are more medical than substance, one of the things that intrigued us as a committee that we wanted to know more about was community care paramedic. And we know that Chief Bartek was doing the legwork to research that for us, and then, like, rake together some community partners to help us pay for something like that if we want it. So that may be something down the line, in connection with this work that we're doing, may be helpful for us. And so we may have future conversations here about that if that pans out. But, on behalf of the, at least the seats that we hold on the task force, we heard some pretty positive things. I mean, there's always some bumps in the road with this work, right? So I guess, does anyone else have questions for Tracy about her part of that? Because if not, we'll place her report on file as well. That is the last item on our agenda for tonight, so we were efficient. I would take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Motion from Larson, is there a second? Second by Hanky. Members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None are opposed, so that motion carries. And we'll stand adjourned then. Thanks, everyone.